The MSRA exam is happening just the next month, in a few weeks. And so in this video today, I'm just here to give a little bit of updates and also to give a few tips to doctors, especially IMG doctors who are sitting for this exam. And believe me, this is actually not to scare you, but just to keep you aware and to also prepare your mind in a way ahead of the exam, and in a way to also encourage you with your preparation and everything you're doing. So if you're an IMG doctor and you're sitting for the next exam, the next MSRA, or you plan to sit for MSRA anytime in the future, then you want to watch this video to the end. Okay, so let's just get right into it. Hello, my name is Blessing and I'm a doctor practicing in the UK. I'm a second year psychiatry trainee, and if today is your first time here, I won't say you're welcome. Feel free to join the community. And so the first thing is, in terms of the update, I think it's very important at this point to say that this might be the last opportunity for IMG doctors to be able to come or get into the specialty training, in the UK via MSRA. And that is because I'm sure you guys are already aware about the government's plan to prioritize UK medical graduates over IMG doctors. And with the current issues on ground, the moment that is kickstarted, it will become almost impossible, very difficult for IMG doctors to be able to get into specialty training from their country. So it looks like this MSRA, this September MSRA might be the one, because government has already entered us, but no date has been announced as the time that the whole prioritization thing is going to be implemented or is going to be kickstarted. We don't know, maybe before January something might eventually happen and then the whole process will kickstart. We don't know exactly when it's going to happen. So I am saying this so that anyone who plans to take this exam will actually take it very seriously. I am not saying it's going to be completely impossible. It will still be possible for IMG, but that will be if there are leftover slots after UK medical graduates have been sorted. So treat it like that. The next point is the fact that now I need you to prepare your mind that for September MSRA, the slots available are usually not as much as that of January. So there's usually a lot more slots available for the August training compared to the February training. So it means that there will be lesser slots for September MSRA. It means that the competition is going to be higher because a huge number of doctors are competing for fewer spaces. So it's just me trying to tell you, just to give you a picture of what it's going to look like it's obviously going to be crazy. The other thing that I need to say at this point is, for a lot of exams, a lot of times we are focused on, oh, let me pass the exam. But when it comes to MSRA, it's not just about passing, it's actually about getting a training slot. So that should be the goal. In the last exam, for those who got GP training, I think you needed over 500 to qualify for a GP slot. Even some guys who got over 500 did not get a slot, a GP training slot. So I'm just trying to tell you that it is that crazy, and it's just for you to prepare your mind. So whatever it is you already have planned, or whatever it is that you're working with right now, so this is just for you to know if you need to intensify, if you need to change your strategy, if you need to do more, if you need to, whatever it is that you really need to do, maybe you need to step up your game a little bit. So that's why I'm bringing this information to you. So it's not just about, if I struggle and get up to 500, I'm trying to tell you that even for the August, where there were more slots, the doctors who had a little over 500 could not even get into specialty training. So it means that for the September, where there are lesser slots, it means that you probably need something higher. So we are talking about maybe you need around 520 and above for you to even think that you might qualify for a GP slot. And even that 520 is not guaranteed, because it still depends on how much people pass. Because if people really pass and people are having like high 600s, high 500s, it means that at the end of the day, people with 520 may even struggle to get into GP training. So this is actually not to scare you, but this is just for you to know that, okay, you need to give it your best shot. And so I'm putting out this video because you still have a few weeks before the exam. I think about 5 to 6 weeks before the exam, and a lot can still happen in that period. It just depends on how you choose to go about it. So that takes me to the next point, which is just to give you a few tips. Now, this is a disclaimer. Like you guys already know, I am not here to give you these tips because I scored very high in my exams, but I sat for the exams, I prepared for the exams, and now I've been able to get into specialty training. And based on my experience, I feel like there's something I can give you that could be helpful to you, and that's the reason why I'm bringing this here. So I think the first thing is, please don't make the mistake of just focusing on one part of the exam and leaving the other part of the exam, because the MSRA usually has two parts, which is the situational judgment test and the clinical aspect of the exam. So a lot of times, especially for IMG doctors, there's a tendency that you just want to focus a lot on the clinical aspect because it resonates with you. You know what you like, you really understand it. While the SJT part is like some things, it's just like, okay, like I don't understand this really. So, but the thing is, SJT can be quite tricky, but at the same time, I would advise you to also put all of your energy on trying to understand SJT. It's just that you need to find the balance for the two, because you need to do very well in the two. That being said, I would still say that as an IMG doctor, you might want to let your clinical be, like the clinical aspect of the exam be your advantage, because definitely you know what is being said, you studied, and you know you are more at home with the clinical stuff compared to the SJT. So I'm just trying to say that you want to give it your best shots, that you know you want to like really do very well in your clinicals. But even at that, I still want you to do very well in your SJT. Now, I'm going to be talking about a few materials that I use. So I use some materials. I didn't really use a lot of materials, really. I got only like 2 question banks, Samson's recalls, and e-medical MCQ banks. And I used Oxford Handbook for the SJT, just to understand the principle. And that is the thing about SJT. So when it comes to SJT, really, I think it's about understanding the principle, because it's all about ethical practice. It's about what will you do as a doctor practicing in the NHS if you are faced with some of this situation. And it is very important. It's an important aspect of your practice as a doctor in the NHS, because if you fail in the ethical aspect of your job, you can actually get into serious trouble. So it's very important that you really understand the principle behind the question. Don't just see it as an exam. See it as, I could be the one in this situation, and if I find myself in this situation, how do I go about it? What do I think is the right thing to do? Or how do I go about resolving this situation? So I want you to sometimes picture yourself in some of those scenarios, that this could be you. Understand the principles. Please don't go around cramming maybe any recalls or question banks or something. I am promising you, you might not find any of those questions in your exams. So it's about understanding the principles that guide the rationale for the answers. So when you're reading any material and you see any question and you see the question, try to find out how did they arrive at this question. So understanding all of those principles, that is what you're going to take into your exam, so that whatever happens, no matter how they choose to tweak the question and everything, as long as you understand those basic principles, you'll be able to find your way around it. Now, the fourth thing about the exam that I need to let you guys know is that when you get in, the first paper is going to be your SJT, and then the clinicals will come afterwards. Now, I want to tell you, spoiler alert, yeah, that you might actually be kind of disappointed by the time you start seeing the questions. So because sometimes the questions are not like, they're not very clear like the ones you see in your question banks. So I remember when I was practicing for exams, when I see a question, I could, especially those questions where they will tell you rank A to E, and you know, I could rank that, okay, this is the best and this is the worst, and then try to shuffle the other 3 in between. But then I got to exams and I saw a lot of questions that I struggled to even pick which is the best, which is the worst, because it's like all the answers are just looking alike, and maybe it's just some change of, is more of grammatical differences that would probably guide you in choosing which is better, which should I do first. So I'm just trying to say that it may not be as very clear and straightforward as it is in your question banks. So just keep that in mind, so that when you get into the exam and then you start seeing the question, I think that day I really felt I was really disappointed. Okay, what's going on here? I thought the questions were going to look like what I saw in the question banks, but no, they don't actually look exactly like that. If you have been studying for a while before now, then I will say that is good for you. But if peradventure you feel like you've not had enough time to study, then I think that you want to be very strategic in your studying, and this is not the time to start going after every material. I guess if you actually plan to sit for that exam, no matter how bad it is, you should probably have read some materials before now. So I would just say that pick any one of the question banks, anyone that you are very comfortable with, and make sure that you understand it. You know, for the clinicals, you are able to answer almost all the questions at spinal level. And I'm telling you that should be your target, like over the next few weeks, that any questions from the clinical aspects, you can answer it from a spinal level. And for the SJTs, it means that what I just want you to target is that you understand the principle behind most of those questions. And one very important material that I feel you should read, you should go through for your SJT is the GMC's Good Medical Practice. Like, you need to go through it, because that's like the ethical, that's like the material about the ethical guidance around being a doctor in the UK. So it's not just even for the exam alone, it's for your practice as a doctor. So you need to go, I think they recently updated it, so please go over your good medical practice. It will give you an idea of things that, you know, how you should behave as a doctor. And sometimes that is most of the things that are usually simulated in the SJTs, they are bordered around ethical practice. And so if you digest your good medical practice, you should be able to find your way around SJT. And so that is one thing that I think is very important for you to do. Now, so for my SJT, I practiced the SJT in the question bank that I used, but at the same time, I went ahead to read the Oxford Handbook of Situational Judgment, and that is because I feel like, okay, I just really want to understand the principle behind all of this. So I guess it was helpful for me, but then I still want to say that you might eventually get into the exam and you'll feel like, okay, why did I read everything I read? Especially when you start seeing some questions that are quite confusing. Prepare as much as you can. Give it your best shot, because right now the competition is massive, like it's crazy. So just give it your best shot, okay? So the other thing I want to say is that I know for some persons they enjoy studying on their own for their exams, and it's been superb. But if you're somebody that you don't mind studying in a group, I think group studying is good. Now, what group studying did for me was that, number one, it kept me on my toes, because I know that I have to attend these group discussions. So even when I want to feel a bit lazy, I know that duty calls, like it is expected of me to show up. So it's kind of made me very accountable. Also, in a group, you're going to be exposed to different materials. Different people will bring their own materials, and so you have access to almost all the materials that are available. You don't necessarily have to buy that question bank, but because another person who is in that group also has it, and the group is practicing with that material, you get exposed to it. And also, sometimes you have a question you don't understand. For example, if you get to a typical discussion group, you will meet IMG doctors who are outside of the UK in that group. There will be IMG doctors who are already in the UK, all practicing in the group. So sometimes you will hear people, maybe there's a question, you will hear somebody tell you about, oh, this particular question, maybe for SJT, oh, this and this even happened in my workplace, and this was how we went about it. Oh, I even experienced this. Oh, I know somebody who actually experienced this. And so it brings it home, and sometimes it makes the explanation something that you can relate with more than just reading in isolation. So I'm just saying that sometimes the way somebody is going to explain it is just going to make it stick more than just reading it from a book or something like that. So if you're somebody that you don't mind group discussion, then I think it's something that you might really want to consider. Although I don't know if it is still a good time to join a group discussion, because this is just a few weeks to the exam, and even right now a lot of people will soon start moving into more of personal studies. But even if it's for just this month, for like the next 4 weeks, join a group discussion, answer the recalls with them, study the question banks, you know, be available, make yourself available on those group discussions. Prepare your mind for the worst while still keeping hope alive. Give it your best shot, that at the end of the day, because no matter how competitive it is, some people are going to definitely score well in this exam, and some people are going to get into training slots through the MSRA exam. And so you can't be one of those people, of course. So give it your best shot. I don't want you to be discouraged. I don't want you to panic. I don't want you to be anxious. Just, you know, whatever it is you have to do, maybe you have to clear a few things out of your schedule. You need to explain to some friends and family for them to just understand that, okay, I need to give this exam my best shot. You need to withdraw yourself from a few things. Whatever it is you have to do, just give it your best shot. And I wish you guys all the success in this exam. And so I'll see you again in another video. Bye. Don't forget to like, to comment, and also to share. And please, if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comment section. And take care. Bye.